Audiko, you're muted.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, great. Thanks. Oh, so great. Where are you, Sandy?
Oh, I'm at home. It's just
Oh, that's a great, that's a
yeah,
great,
because the real background is a mess.
oh, that's great. Oh, wonderful. Everybody coming on. Great. Great to see everyone. Isaac. Yay, just talked to Isaac this morning. Hope all of you guys get to meet Isaac someday. Erlinda. Well, Margaret, just ordered some products it's on the way to you. Nice, big order.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good to see you, Cheryl. She came to our place. Yeah. Beautifully familiar names, familiar faces, and everyone who I don't know yet, I hope to meet you someday. Sure, somebody is speaking. You can unmute yourself. Just when we start, I'll ask you to mute. We're gonna wait for people to come on. Great, thank you for attending our webinar today. Good. And I thought I saw Cindy Johnson. She's one of our students early on. I don't see her on the list now, but yeah, it's great to see students. We've been doing some amazing things out in the world, and it's our students who actually make it all possible. Okay, good. And I'm also going to ask that everyone hold your questions to the end. And when you are in your chat, everybody can get onto the chat. Just put your name and city and country. Sometimes we have found that people are in the next city and they don't even know it, right? And so that's a really good way for people to stay connected. Is there any? Okay, so people are still coming into the call, which is great. Yeah, wonderful. We know that we are recording this, so there are people that's the totally different time zone. We're in all time zones and our students, and so sometimes the challenge is finding a time that all of us can meet, that it's not in the middle of the night for somebody. Sometimes it's not possible. So there are many people who signed up for this, and it's in the middle of the night for them, and so they'll be receiving the recording, and you'll be receiving the recording as well. So good. Everyone coming on to the call. Erlinda. Great. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start. Yeah, so if anybody just came in, if you can get into the chat and put your name, your city and country. And then any questions, just write them down and I'll take questions at the end. We will go through my whole PowerPoint and then take questions. And then like if anybody needs to leave, of course, you're going to receive this recording, so not to worry. You won't miss anything. Okay. Let's make sure. I thought everybody could immediately get into this, but I'm seeing that there's still somebody in the waiting room. This should all automatically have let everybody in. All right, I'll keep track of that if I can. All right, I'm going to share my screen. So if you're not muted, if you can mute yourself, and that way any of the background noise in your space won't be a part of this recording. Madrika Smith, you could hit the mute button. It'll be in the bottom left corner of your screen. Should be. Can everybody see that? Okay. All right. let's begin. All right. Well, some of you might be new to Moringa. Some of you are veterans of Moringa. And we're going to just go through everything. Let's just see. Why this doesn't respond. Anyway, this is about nutrition and how to add it to your daily life. Nutrition is a really big topic with Moringa. It's getting bigger and bigger as time goes by. When I started, it was 26 years ago, and I've seen how many people have benefited from this plant over the years. I was in the farmer's market for 14 years, and I've been in this location where I am now. I have a Moringa shop in Vista in Southern California, and that's been 12 years now. And in that time, we have seen amazing things with people's health, serious things, and just everyday health improvements, and just vitality that has improved. We've made a lot of different products. In fact, we right now, as we speak, my husband is in the other room making the Moringa Mojo. So that's something that is going to be a new product that we have slowly started to bring out, and some people have had it, like Sandy's husband loves that, Walter, and so we're finding more and more ways to bring Moringa into people's everyday life. And we also have found early on that not all Moringa is equal. So this has been a big eye-opening experience, and it really caused me to go and study soil biology. So I studied that with Dr. Elaine Ingham. The big part of our work, and that's where Isaac, I mentioned Isaac before, he comes in, he's qualified to take soil samples and look at them under microscope, tell you the microscope, and tell you the quality of that soil. That is all important when we're talking about what nutrition is in the plant. So these are some of the common foods. Oh, sorry, I changed this a little bit because some people see there's a graphic that shows 7 times the vitamin C in oranges, and I like this layout because it gives it to you in the actual grams. So you can see in a gram per gram, and we're always looking at 100 grams of edible portion. So whenever you see any food that's evaluated, this is the standard that everyone uses, 100 grams of edible portion. And so what does that actually mean, right? This slide right here shows you this is fresh compared to dried. So when you see that edible portion, it's evaluating the fresh unless it designates differently. And so you see a lot of confusing information on the internet because some people are telling you what it is fresh and some people are telling you what it is dried. So this chart goes over it from fresh and dried. And what I have on the left here is it's weighed out. That's 100 grams of edible portion of Moringa leaf. So you can see that it's not a little tiny branch of Moringa that you eat, and that's what equals all of that nutrition. It's an amount. It's a good amount. So if you imagine, would you be able to eat that amount in a meal or in a day, right, of the fresh? And once you dry that, of course, that reduces down, and it's a smaller amount, becomes a concentrate because you've taken that that moisture out. And that's the way that is easiest for people who, especially in the off season where you don't have this growing where you live. We are in the off season right now in Southern California, but people do have it year round. Other people have it even shorter, whatever your growing season is, right? And we encourage people to get Moringa growing wherever you are. So this is an important thing to just pay attention to, and the amounts that you need to eat of Moringa for that to really give you the health benefit, right? It's not a sprinkle on things. I'm going to refer you to this website. Go to this website and you will see an incredible amount of nutrition, all of the nutritional values that Moringa has, and we're still learning more. So as Moringa is studied, we're seeing more ailments that it's benefiting. The website has all of this all at once. So you can see they list the 92 nutrients, the 46 antioxidants, right? They go through all of this, the 71 antimicrobials, 36 anti-inflammatories, 18 amino acids, 9 essential amino acids you must get from food. So there's no other plant that compares to this, all in one. And the ailments go on and on. And you can, there's links at the very end of this study. So you can go to the websites where they are showing the scientific study that is proving whatever the statement that they made here. And that's what we want to see. We want to see whenever we have any kind of claim or statement that it's backed up by the research. And one of the things we are doing ongoingly is accumulating all that medical research for ourselves, and we will present that and do a class, how to read medical research. It's not as complicated as you might think. If you go into and try to understand the molecular structure and how molecules bond and all, but we don't really need to know that, right, for what we're doing. So we can look at research and we can look at the abstract and the conclusion and any disclaimer and understand the basics of that research. So don't let the research scare you. We need to educate ourselves so that we really understand. So this will be, you know, you can make a copy once you get this recording and go to this website. But if you just put 92 nutrients and 46 antioxidants, you're likely to come right to this. Great. So, well, we're going to start with the B vitamins. Everybody hears about B vitamins. I don't know if everyone knows what B vitamins do and why we need them. So we have it listed out here. On the right, those are the list of B vitamins. The B vitamins, that this group plays a special role in your body. First of all, B vitamins help enzymes, which break down what you eat and drink, with several functions, including releasing energy from proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, breaking down amino acids, and moving oxygen and energy around your body. So it's crucial that you have this in your body, right? And in your food that you're eating. So each of these produces something, an important part, right, of what's going on in your body in order to create that function. And in order to be evaluated as having a substantial amount of B vitamins or any vitamins, it must be reach a 20% threshold for the daily intake. So again, letting you understand that when you're studying anything that has to do with amounts of, you look at your, you know, your nutritional facts, those things are based on a standard. And so you just want to know what's behind that information. Go a little bit deeper to just not reading your label, but understanding how they came to those figures. So it's 20%. Once you reach that threshold, now you're in a comparative amount. So just for moringa versus kale, I put this because a lot of people understand what kale is. And one of the things you're going to see, or I would say not see in these evaluations, you won't see any of these foods on these lists compared to moringa, like you will kale or broccoli or oranges, well, because those are really common foods for us. And people don't have moringa yet as a common food. So you won't see those lists anywhere, but it should be, right? Because then people would see how beneficial moringa is because of what's in there. So in the B vitamins, right, you understand why we need them. So moringa has 4 times more B6 than kale, 5 times more riboflavin than kale, 2.5 times more thiamine than kale, 2 times more niacin than kale. So when you look and see other kinds of foods, you're going to find very few have this kind of vitamin stack. And then throughout, I'm going to give you some ideas for recipes that you can try. This is for a smoothie, and you can, of course, change things up. The point is to not juice it, but puree it so that you have the whole food, all of the food. And then I always say, when you are taking this, to chew. Like if you're taking a smoothie or drinking a smoothie, try to chew that, get the saliva in, because that's how the digestion happens. When you start just drinking it down, the body has a harder time to break that down. So here's a basic recipe. And the conversion, in case you don't have fresh, like we don't have fresh right now, but I could make this with dried. So 1 cup of fresh is 20 grams of dried. And that holds true if it's basil or rosemary or, that conversion holds pretty true. Sometimes you have to tweak it a little bit. Sometimes our herbs are stronger at other times of the year, different times of the year as well. I wanted to give you a little bit more deep information. So I put this, antioxidant chart here because we talk about antioxidants. You see it in a lot of places. We say, oh, antioxidants are good for us. We need to have them. But why? What's actually happening? So this is the most basic one I could find. And all it is your element. It's a chemically reactive unpaired electron plus electron donation. So this on the right is a free radical, and on the left is a stable electron. It's donating electrons to the free radical to stabilize it. And so that, if you imagine, the free radicals come from pollution and all types of contaminants in our food, our air, our water, and we have a lot in our system. And so that's why it's important to have antioxidants, because it's finding those free radicals and donating the electron and stabilizing it so that it's not this random thing going around and causing trouble in your body. So I just want to give a little deeper insight into what it is on the terms that we're using and that we're looking for these things in our foods to understand a basic thing. You can go really deep into this and understand even more of it, but I want you to understand some basic thing, go just a step deeper into it. And so this is one of the things from the dietary guideline. How much, how many antioxidants do we need? And you can go further. You can go look at this dietary guidelines for Americans. It's going to be different for different countries. Some countries have done these evaluations. And so antioxidants, and this is why it's important to have, of course, I just went over it, but there are certain foods that we know, the common foods, especially berries here, blueberries, especially wild blueberries, raspberry, blackberries, cranberries. These are really high in antioxidants, right? So these high diets and diets high in fruit and vegetables, which are antioxidant-rich foods, provide you with the most nutrition. Research has not shown antioxidant supplements are beneficial in preventing disease. In other words, it is best to get your antioxidants from whole foods. So big industry in supplements. And with all things, if you can have it fresh, that's by far the best. So also, you can, if things are dried at a low temperature and still raw, so less than 120 degrees, like ours, Moringa is dried at that lower temperature, so it's still considered a raw product. So that's really important. If it's higher, then there's very little food value left. But at that low temperature and even lower, you can do, some people are doing like 100 or 90 degrees over a long time. Those lower temperatures maintain that raw quality. In all of this, and we see that vitamin C is really high in Moringa, but in the drying process, you lose almost all of your vitamin C. So that's the other thing. Some of the vitamins are disappearing in some of that process. So another example of a recipe for you, and these are a couple of different varieties of things. So you can do ones with a lot of moringa, with a little bit of moringa. You decide. Start to just be creative with it. Start with the standard and then move that into being more creative. And let this get to like room temperature or a little bit cooler than room temperature so that you're not eating, taking this as a frozen product. That is harder on the body, especially now that we're in winter. Some people are in different times of their year right now, their seasons, but in winter you want to have things, at room temperature or warming, right? And here's the conversion again. Superfood. So that's another term people hear a lot, right? A superfood. What is a superfood? And we just, especially if you went to that website and you saw all of that vitamin content, you would see Moringa is a superfood, but it's a superfood of superfoods. right? The definition is foods that help promote health by increasing your immune system and decreasing disease, rich in antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals. Many indigenous people lived on superfoods because they didn't have the variety we have today. Their foods were limited. They would not have survived if they had not discovered certain foods that could sustain them and help them thrive. We also know that Moringa was taken by hand, by foot, right, from the original location in the Himalayas and has been moved throughout the world and naturalized. There's 13 varieties that are naturalized. That means that they've been in a certain location for a long period of time and have adapted to that climate and that location. So those varieties are very different from each other. We have done a lot of work and webinars in the past on the varieties, and it's really interesting to see now that we can move Moringa all over the world, overnight. People all over the world have access to this food. But you have to remember that when people didn't, they were taking and walking with the most important foods. And Moringa was one of them. That's the way it moved throughout the world. This is a chart I recently found just in preparing for this. I hadn't seen it before, and it might be somewhat incomplete. But it gives you really good basic information on this Moringa compared to spirulina, chlorella, and let's see, what was I can't actually see it on my screen. I have something blocking it. Oh, wheatgrass, yeah. And so you can see it compared to other superfoods. These are things that people have been putting in their smoothies and in their foods, dried and fresh if they can find fresh. Chlorella and spirulina are very difficult to find fresh. So you can see the comparisons. So they had vitamin A and E, vitamin K. They don't even have that in those two. See, in vitamin B12 is missing there, but we know that there are high amounts because of other research. So it's just a question of at what point was this made. But I just thought this is a really good reference to have, just to be having in your mind the comparisons to other things that you might already have been using. All right, and Moringa is an adaptogen. That's probably a less known word for people. An adaptogen and the definition, and there are lots of adaptogens. We know a lot if you're in the mushroom world, and a lot of mushrooms have come into the center stage these days. And you're going to hear more and more about mushrooms, and people are going to have them in more and more different kinds of products. But it's a way that it's a non-specific effect in the body. That's the most basic way to say it. So people use these things who are looking for certain effects. But one person might want sleep and relaxation. Another person might need energy. An adaptogen over time, and this is something that you take over time, helps you adapt in your environment, and it also adapts to you. So it's non-toxic when taken in normal doses. It helps your body to cope with stress. It allows your body to return to balance or homeostasis. So this is a really important thing to understand when it's taken in normal doses. A lot of people like doing these macro doses. We had, a period of time where people were taking, tens of thousands of, milligrams of vitamin C. And then there was a big push to all of these macro doses. And now we've kind of shifted to micro dosing, right? Micro doses of all different types of plants, mushrooms, fruit. So the body can have it in small amounts and really use those amounts. When it has so much, it just kind of like, it's like slammed with this, doesn't it? It takes time for the body to process that, to bring that into the body. So it can't do it all at once. So it's really good to just take time, be gentle with the way that you add anything to your diet, especially new, and be consistent. You won't know how it's affecting you unless you take it over time. Start really slow, small amounts. Like when I started with Moringa, people just said, "Oh, this is really good for me. I just take a lot of it," and I was like, "Oh, that's a lot," because it also will detox. What it's doing is it's also going to the cell structure. It's detoxing. And really slightly, and all of our foods help us detox. That's one of the things happening at the cell structure. But if you have a lot of detox at a time, it can put you through a, an intense detox without you necessarily wanting. Some people do it because they want to do a detox, that's different. They're ready for it. But you don't want to be, going to, a business meeting, with your boss and 10, executives and suddenly have this detox effect start to come off to you, right? You want to be prepared. So it is an adaptogen. It is going to respond to you when you start to take Moringa. Start very slowly, and then take it every day for a week. Check and see how that is. Maybe that needs to be less or more. Then add more. We recommend a 1/4 teaspoon per day, and then go up to 1/2 teaspoon, and then to 1 teaspoon. Go for a week. Look and see what your own unique dosage will be. And you will come to that. You say, okay, this feels good. I'm getting the effects that I want. Or you could go higher. People who are in, areas where there's a lot of malnutrition, and this is one of their main food source that health organizations are bringing there. They have women, nursing and pregnant women taking 8 tablespoons a day, children up to 3 years old, 3 tablespoons a day. And that's their main food source. And they're mixing that with whatever the local staple or oil in some ways, because you're going to be, being able to swallow down powder, but it's in a powdered form. So extreme situations can be helped with this as well. And of course, when they're taking it, they're also working up slowly because they're going to have a detox effect. But when you're dying of malnutrition, you want to have that food right away, but still the body is still functioning the same way our bodies function. So we want to be gentle with all of that. So when you put adaptogens together, they amplify each other's effects. So we have this great, and if people have had this, they'll know, and if you can make this, when you have fresh, you can also do this with dried. Earlier in the year, we sent a recipe out with the dried moringa. So 2 cups of moringa leaf. There's basil, parsley, walnuts. You can switch up any other nut. People also put Parmesan cheese in pesto. You can add that if you'd like. Olive oil, garlic. You can add other things, ginger, right? The sky's the limit. But this is a basic one with basil, and you can use different types of basil because basil is an adaptogen. Our culinary herbs were originally medicinal herbs, and they became so commonplace that became household names and herbs that now we don't think of them as being medicinal, but they are. They all are. Rosemary, thyme, sage, right? All of these very common ones are high medicinal herbs. But we have it every day, right? We put it in things without thinking. But and moringa one day might be one of those that's just so commonplace that you put it in everything. And that's our goal, is that you find ways to put this in your diet every day. Okay? Best way to take moringa. So fresh if you can. When you take it fresh, you have also the enzymes. When it's dried, you lose a lot of the enzymes in the drying process. Freshly, here's the drumsticks, the flowers. Those parts are edible. People eat the root as well. It tastes like horseradish, smells like horseradish. It's spicy. One of the common names for moringa is horseradish tree, and also drumstick tree. That's because of how these the drumsticks look there. If you don't have it, of course, dried, and the drying process has to be correct. This is one of the big issues that we've had all along when a lot of other countries started producing moringa, and it was coming from a lot of different places. India is the largest producer of moringa in the world, and they had actually used moringa in their food as their food. They know moringa for the seed pod. And so because there was no criteria, they just started to process. I mean, so the harvesting process in India and some other places is for the seed pod, they would just go and chop it all. The leaf would just be chopped and dropped onto the ground. And now these companies who wanted and said, oh, there's a market for leaf, they would come and gather this up from the ground, big stems and everything, chop it up, dry it, and powder it, and start sending it out. So 10 years ago, I had a call from somebody, and I'd had a lot of moringa sent to me over the years. I've seen everybody come onto the marketplace in this period of time. Um, and I started to get samples of moringa that was just, I couldn't even tell what it was. It smelled like something else. It looked, it was brown. There's many, many shades of green, right? And so you can powder anything and put it together with that, and no one would know. And I would look under a jeweler's eye, and I would see the particulates. Different if I had looked under a microscope, but at that time, I was just curious, well, what can I just want to magnify this. So I would see large amounts of gray and brown and all different shades of green. So I knew that they were processing it in an incorrect way. And so that became, a big issue for us. 10 years ago, I started to teach our Moringa courses, our in-person courses, because I'd gotten a call from somebody in England, and they had a business. They still do. I can't remember the name of their company, either Asana or Arana Foods, something like that. I think they still have a product, and they have a moringa product, and they had a baobab product, which is a fruit, an African fruit, and they wanted to create a product with moringa. They wanted it to come from Africa. But they went all over Africa, and they got samples, and they couldn't find any good samples. They went to the internet and found people producing it in other places, getting all those products and testing them all. He had 15 samples tested in a lab, and none of them were fit for human consumption. And that was like a dagger to my heart, because the first way people might hear about moringa is that somebody got hurt from it. And that word, would spread like wildfire. So I realized that it was time to teach. And that's when I started to teach 10 years ago. And we were teaching our particular method of harvesting, processing, and growing. So in order to get all those nutrients that we're seeing here, you have to grow it with the correct biology. And that biology, and I say it's we're going to talk about it in a minute, but it's important to have that biology in the soil. It's important to harvest and process correctly at the low temperature, just the leaf and not the branch, and harvest in the same day, because moringa is also biothermal. So moringa will start to break down as soon as you cut it and you mound it up. You just are going to do a huge harvest and mound it up. It starts to break down and heat up and burn itself. It's so active, powerful. Even as it's dying, it's powerful, right? And so that hemothermal characteristic burns it up. And people were still drying it and processing it, so it would turn gray and brown because of that. So really important to know your supplier and understand how they're processing the moringa. So adding it to your daily diet, and we've talked, a bit about it, as a supplement. So putting it in everything that you're eating, as a tea, as a part of daily hydration. So just putting some of the powder in your water bottle, drink it throughout the day. It's a great way to just have it. A lot of people do this because they want to add nutrition. They want to also skip meals. This is one way that people have used moringa to lose weight. They just have it in different things, so you are nourished, and you don't have this big hunger at the end of the day. You're nourished throughout the day, so a lot of people have that more energy, so they have more endurance. They start to see the effects of taking it every day. As a smoothie, one of the things we just talked about, the snack, that's our Moringa Mojo that we're working on, and a supplement for pets. A lot of people use this, and I had a lot of customers who came to get the powder, and I would recommend that they just put it in like kibble or some type of food and mix it in there daily, also small amounts, and also the oil. So the seed oil, it regenerates skin health. So this is something that pets were needing as well as humans, because a lot of them were the people who in the early days came, they were working at shelters, and these were rescued dogs who had a lot of issues, and especially skin issues. And so we were seeing a lot of just an incredible recovery from that. So it was really good for pets. And we had thought about doing a product for pets, but I decided, it's easier if you just get the powder and the oil, get some kibble, toss the kibble and a little bit of oil just so it coats it, and then put the powder. And now you have now you have a pet superfood with moringa. And try that if you have pets and needing that. And so talking about putting it in everyday food, this is, in our in-person courses, we would serve a moringa drink in the morning with fresh moringa, and it would have either passion fruit or mint. It's very refreshing with mint and a little bit of honey. And that was, we would drink that throughout the day. And then my son Mitchell came to all of the courses and would prepare these incredible meals. So some of this you can actually see the moringa in there, the guacamole in the front. It looks just like guacamole, but it's got moringa in it. So all of these, just like everyday foods that you're preparing, you can make with moringa. I love this slide because it lets you know that you can do just about anything. I made this slide up when I went to Japan last year because they're all about making these really cute little things, with everything they make, they cut, and they make just beautiful food. Well, you can put moringa in all of these things, and so be creative. It's more likely that you'll stay with it. You can involve children. They love, making foods, and then they'll more likely eat things like this because they're making it. In the early days, when my daughter Mackenzie, my youngest, was really young, we were reading the book Green Eggs and Ham. So we made green eggs and ham with moringa in it, with dried moringa. So, and they were eating green eggs and ham, didn't know it's something really good for them. But so you can put it in a lot of things like that, and just be creative and have fun. And slow and steady. So I mentioned it earlier, it's really important to put this into your diet. But it's really important to also be gentle. Go slow, add a little bit at a time, see what it is, that your body needs, get the feedback from your body, start to spend more time listening to see what do you need. You can't come to a point like I did. I was taking so much moringa. There's a point where it's like, whoa, I think I'm good. And you may come to a point it's like good for a while. And then I started to just put it in foods because I enjoy it, like the pesto. Soon as it's the first harvest, I'm making pesto because it's just, I just love it. It's so nourishing. We put it on everything. And then when the season is over, we're just like, oh, we have to wait till the next season. Just there's a different flavor when you have fresh. And then we make it with dried as well. It's great. We know that we're eating it that way because we love the nutrition that it's giving us. And there's a flavor with it as well, but we're relying on the other flavors when it's dried. And you can do that. It's very, very important to just add it slowly. Recipes for success. So I've given you a few recipes, but I highly recommend this new book that's out called Moringalicious. It's written by Mohana Gill. We just recently found out about her, introduced to her last year. And she has written this book. She's come on to Moringa in her own journey, invisible to us. And then one of our students, James Brady, met her. Somehow she found him, and then he contacted Amit, who's my assistant in India. And then they contacted me. He contacted me. So we have this Moringalicious team now about getting this book out into the world and supporting Mohana with this. The legendary food writer. She's just incredible. We just have a meeting on Monday with her. And she's now writing a children's book. She has quite a few children's books, and she's going to be doing a children's book with Moringa. So we're really looking forward to that. Well, these recipes in there are amazing. Oh, I do have a copy of it in the office. I could have shown you. Really incredible, very creative. If you haven't seen our podcast with her, my son Jensen did a podcast, and she had prepared something called nasi lemak. She's in Malaysia, So this is a cultural food, a natural food for them, and many other countries there in Southeast Asia have a version of that. And all over Malaysia, they have, where every area has their version of it. Just delightful, delicious. She's gotten these awards: best in the world, first place for food and nature, best in the world, fourth place for creativity and innovation, and that's from Gourmand World's cookbook awards. So we are so happy to be working with her, and soon my assistant Amit will be getting married in April. So I'm on a whirlwind tour right now. I'll first actually go to Malaysia the end of March. I'll be with Mohana for about 3 days. And we'll be cooking together, videotaping. We'll do a podcast from there. And then she and I will go to India to Amit's wedding in the first part of April. And then I will go to Sri Lanka from there and do an in-person course with our student there, Damayanti Lee. You can see that on our website. It's just going to be an incredible time. But started with Mohana saying, "Oh, you can come to visit me." I was already going to go to India to visit, to go to Amit's wedding. So it just became this really amazing connection now with Mohana, her work, and her book. And there is a link to her book at the end of this video, but do go to look at anywhere you see podcasts. It's a live video. I mean, it's a video podcast, not an audio. So really recommend this. It's been so amazing to see. She has video, recipes from all over the world, a lot in Southeast Asia, and with the leaf, the flower, and the seed pod. So very creative, very beautiful book. So I want to get back into a little bit of science for you, the therapeutic use of moringa. So in the US and some other countries, we're limited by what we can say moringa can do. We can't say that it cures, heals any illness or disease. Doctors are allowed to say that, and some doctors are coming out and saying that. Scientists who are proving this are also, a source of being able to get that information. So one of our students, Dr. Waterman, which is how I know James Brady, she came through our ambassador course. She's one of our ambassadors, and she has done this amazing research. So again, you don't get scared about how scientific this looks, but this will bring you to her research. And what this is showing is, and this will be a new word that people will start to use, isothiocyanate. This is showing the isothiocyanate activity of moringa. And they studied this, they compared it under her website, there's also a link, CA Moringa. She has camoringa.org. This is from a grant at UC Davis that she did. And on there, if you go to training, you will see a whole PowerPoint that she did. And so she's seeing the science behind it and comparing it to broccoli, which is, to this point, that's the highest amount of isothiocyanate. That's why we encourage people to eat that. Well, moringa has more. So I just want you to get familiar with it, feel confident to go and look and read. If all you do is read the abstract in the beginning and just go, just look at all of this stuff and then go to the conclusion, it gives you a good amount of information about what is happening in the research realm. So what they found, and so here I'm just giving you just a rundown that they showed of the best concentrations of isothiocyanate. So with the crushed leaf as a cold tea, direct ingestion of the dried leaf, either as leaf capsules or in products containing the dried leaf, any products with dried leaves. And so these are the temperatures. So again, it's important to see that when it's a high temperature, you're getting less value, less concentrations than at low temperatures. Okay, so look into this and let yourself, indulge in it. And what they found, and this is the research was with Dr. Waterman and Dr. Mark Olson and Dr. Jed Fahey. Jed Fahey has been in this world for a very long time. You can see a lot of his work if you just search his name with Moringa on Trees for Life. He's just an incredible curious scientist. He's retired now. He was at Johns Hopkins and did a lot of research with Moringa and all different types of cancers, and just a remarkable life with Moringa. Dr. Mark Olson, he determined the 13 varieties, found those. Early on, I knew of his work. He was a grad student and he was getting his PhD in that. Well, I'm not sure actually that was his PhD, but this is an interest area of his. I took him to Japan with us last year to launch the 1 million Moringa tree campaign there. One of our students, Flor-san Kondo, and so he came and did, PowerPoint for us to show the varieties of Moringa. And so, and then Dr. Carrie Waterman, I've talked to with you about before, and do go to see her work on her website. So this is the therapeutic way to take Moringa. So 35 degrees Celsius, you can go up to 40, but trying to stay in that lower amount. You boil the water, take the temperature, very similar to people who drink the really high quality matcha. The best is at a certain temperature. So in these very expensive matcha varieties, and if you take the temperature, they will tell you the best temperature to drink that matcha tea. So we're just kind of moving that level of expertise into taking Moringa now. So you're going to take the temperature of your water. You're going to steep your Moringa leaf powder for 30 minutes. That is what enables the highest amount of isothionates to be released into the water. So follow this. This is the most therapeutic. It's scientifically proven. You can go and actually read the science on it if you want. But it's just, for me, that was just an incredible thing for them to do. Just like meeting Mohana, I always tell her she was my dream come true to find recipe book. Right, both of my sons are chefs, but they don't write recipes down. And now with this, like, okay, this is the most therapeutic way. This is what Mark also keeps saying to me. It's the pharmaceutical way. It's a pharmaceutical way. And his wish is that products are created based on the health outcome that you want. So if you have eye issues, you want to know how much vitamin A to get. You want to know the best way to get vitamin A out of the Moringa. So, and then have the products made with that kind of rigor. So that's probably what's coming. I know that people are taking Moringa in a lot of different ways, but when we can use science to help us take it in the most pharmaceutical way, the most therapeutic way, then you're getting the most out of it. Now I'm back. Is all Moringa created equal? And I've come around to this a number of times, another number of ways. And I'm just going to show you this briefly. This is a huge area. We teach this extensively in our work. We focus on it. We create techniques. We have techniques from Dr. Elaine Ingham, Soil Food Web. Her link is at the end of this as well to see. And this just gives there's a lot of more sophisticated ones like this. I like this one because it's easy to understand just if you see the succession of plants based on the soil and what's happening in the soil. So the microorganisms in the soil tell you what can grow in that soil. So on the left here, you have a high amount of bacteria, a low amount of fungi. And so you'll see that as you progress to the right, more and more diverse types of plants grow as the fungi population increases, till you get all the way to the right and you're at old growth forest where you have the highest amount of fungi and the lowest amount of bacteria. So that is the most diverse soil on the planet. That is the highest amount of food production is a food forest. And forests in nature, that is the most efficient production of food. So you can see our production of food has come so far away from that by monoculture, these wide, huge acres and thousands of acres of one crop, and having to then put fertilizer and then put pesticide because that we've killed biology. So now what nature does is it sends pests out to take the plant down that's weak. And all those plants are weak. And so all the pests come. And the particular pests that love that because it's like a neon sign going off. Here's all this food. So that pest, or that was we're calling it a pest, it's just the insect that loves that food. And we're producing all this food in this huge wide open space. And now that insect wants to come there and it wants to reproduce based on the food supply. So it's reproducing high amounts because it has food. So we've given nature that formula there, and now we're eating the food that is dropped, and we know it's dropped because it has insects coming to take it down. And that's going to be our food, right? And so now we have to put chemicals on that food to kill those pests. Now they're a pest because of what we've done. So these self-inflicted challenges is what we're dealing with in our food supply today, and the contamination in our food, our water, our air, right? So all of it comes because we haven't followed the way of producing food the way nature does, which is like this, right? So all of these things are really important for if you having the best quality moringa. It needs to be grown in the soil. And I say, if it's not in the soil, it's not in your moringa or any other plant that you're growing or any other plant that you're eating. So there's a lot of technology being developed right now in this realm of being able to detect contaminants in your food, contaminants in the soil. There's an organization called bionutrient.org, and they have a little handheld device called a biometer, where you can point it at food. Now they have determined about 12 crops, I think, where you're going to get the bricks, right? You're going to get the, it's going to give you an evaluation there. And I won't go far into it. Go to bionutrient.org and you'll be able to see this is the new technology. They're just one of the companies, the organization that's working on this. So what we're going to find is the technology, some handheld devices you can point at an apple and it'll tell you what chemicals are in that apple. It might even tell you what company made that chemical. So we're getting, to a point where now the consumer is going to have the power in their hand, and that's going to change everything. Because if you can tell what's in that apple and you don't buy it, that's going to give a big message. And if you can do that with all of the foods that you're eating, yeah, you can imagine the world with that. Really nutritious, good food grown in the soil that we're supposed to have. That is the conclusion of my talk today. I went through a lot of things really fast. I know I try to give in these webinars as much information as I can in the shortest period of time. So each of those areas is a big area of introspection and research. And so feel free to contact us for questions about any of this. None of this is possible without the wind beneath my wings, who are my children, my husband, my family. They allow me to do this work. They take up a lot of the things that I would be doing so that I can do things that only I can do. So I always wanted to be, in gratitude to them. We're doing this webinar to get people interested and excited about our online course. Courses, more than one. So like I mentioned, we were doing our courses. Well, in 2020, we couldn't do them in person. So Mackenzie, my younger daughter there in that picture, helped me put these online. So that's what we have now. And we run these two levels of courses together. So starting March 2nd, the ambassador level, which is an introduction to the subjects that we teach. So permaculture. So this is a food forest. We're teaching people how to grow food this way. Permaculture, food forest. We go through the introduction of the soil biology, the composting, vermicompost. These are the ways of these techniques of getting that microorganism population into the soil, the harvesting, processing, how to speak about Moringa so that your FDA, you're in compliance. We want to make sure that people, are following the rules of their country as well. And so for this webinar series, we're offering this coupon, so it's $100 off the ambassador course. It's $300 off the Growing Educator course. So if during this time you have felt any interest in getting to know more about what's happening, more about what's happening out in the world, our students are all over the world doing incredible things, and they all started with just the idea of working with Moringa someday. And that someday came, and they took action, and they came and studied with us. And now we see just these incredible projects around the world. In Sri Lanka, they have National Moringa Day on April 14th. I will be there for it. We just found out that we will be planting a moringa tree at the Prime Minister's residence. So it's just incredible. He's given her a budget to contact all of the newspapers around the country to let them know about that National Moringa Day. They plant moringa in the name of peace between the Tamil and the Sinhalese tribes, and in the name of all Sri Lankans. So it's quite an incredible time for me to be there. And then the 18th to the 23rd is the in-person course we will be doing in Sri Lanka this year. So just incredible, this world that of Moringa that is unfolding. And every student started with taking the smallest step, just contacting us, getting questions answered, taking a course, waiting, the world changes, and then suddenly it's the time, and then you can take a step. We have many students, it starts like that. They take a course, they start, they figure out, oh, I don't know where or when or how, and so we work with them through that whole process. And for years, we've been with these students who they're still in process, and then suddenly there's a step to take because they've gone through the things that were the obstacles that we've been able to identify. And then they see the step, and then the step, and the next step, and then a whole world opens up. So we don't know how long that will take. We don't know what course that will be, what direction it will take, but I know that it all starts with having the idea and the heart feeling of wanting to work with this plant, even just taking it into your life more and more, just starting to, we have products, just starting to have the commitment, okay, I'm going to take this every day and just see what happens, see how Moringa speaks to me, see how Moringa does in my body. That's an important step to take, that everyone should take. I mean, if you haven't started with Moringa in your daily life, I hope I've taken out any of the questions about whether or not it's good for you. Hopefully you'll see that there's many ways to make food with it, and Mohana's book, Moringalicious, can help you with that. Do come consider learning with us. We can help you through. I do one-on-one sessions with people. We do live updates once a week. So you meet students all over the world, and it's one of my deepest honors working with these students and connecting them with each other. Some of them have met each other, some of them have helped each other on their journeys. It's just an incredible time together. It's really like your own family, just helping you along the way, supporting you every step of the way, standing on my shoulders, and now my students standing on each other's shoulders. It's quite a beautiful life, quite a beautiful life. So I would like to get any questions. If somebody has questions or comments, anybody wants to share anything. Let me take this off of screen share so I can see you. There. Anyone with questions? Any comments?
Hi, Mariko.
Hi, Sandy.
Hello. I think I still have a bag of moringa powder from a couple years ago, since I haven't been using it obviously regularly. So I'm just wondering, is there a approximate shelf life for the powdered moringa?
Yes, all dried herbs, even foods that are dried, the standard is 3 years.
Oh, wow, that's a long time.
A long time. If it's been in a closed container in the dark, I mean, it's different if it's been out on a counter, in a clear jar next to a sunny window, it'll degrade more, right? It'll oxidize. Moringa is sensitive to light, so it'll change the color. It'll go almost gray if it's in lighter, like a muddled greenish gray. But yeah, if it's how long ago do you think it's been?
I think a couple years, and then I have one that I think you gave me about a year ago, so
Yeah.
that's still
Well,
good.
just look at the one that's the older one and just compare it to the two but definitely, start taking it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, thank you.
I have a question. This is Phyllis. Is there any advantage in keeping the moringa in the refrigerator once it's been dried?
No, that's a good question because it will absorb moisture. Yeah. So the best is in a closed dark container in your cupboard because it'll absorb moisture and then it can start to grow mold in there. Any other questions? Ah, Kathy, I see you there. So nice to see people on these calls. I just love it. If I haven't been able to see you in person, it's great to see you on a call here. Any other questions?
It looks like Russell has his hand up.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Yep. Russell, you can unmute yourself. I'm not. Okay. Yeah. Russell. If you just unmute yourself. Yeah. Are you speaking?
I wanted to say something. We have a
Oh.
little guy that was born with 11 major issues. His brain didn't separate in the left and right side. His liver's not hooked up to his system at all. His heart's growing in a malformed way. He's got a chromosome disorder called trisomy 8. He's born without a gallbladder. He's fed through a tube. Just all these major issues. And Moringa, you may not remember this, but I told you years ago when he was born. Or before he was born, we didn't know what to do. They tried to get my wife to abort him. They said it was up to her, but she came home. We came home and she cried for 3 days.
Russell,
no matter what.
Russell, I'm having a really hard time understanding what you're saying. You're very faint, and then the voice comes in and out. So what I've heard is that you have to speak more, but if you're close to your microphone, if that's possible, could you?
Yeah, actually, I'm close to the microphone now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you better.
Okay. Yeah, we have a little guy that they tried to get us to abort. He was born with a chromosome disorder called trisomy 8. His liver's not hooked up. He was born without a gallbladder. His kidneys aren't working properly. His heart is malformed. He can't swallow, so he's fed through a tube. All of this. They told us he would only live for 3 months.
Oh.
I remember this, but I called you and I was talking to you about it, and you did give me some advice. This was years ago. A teaspoon of your Moringa every day in his food. He's fed through a tube, and he was only supposed to live for 3 to 5 months, is what they told us. He turned 8 years old on February 2nd.
Wow. Oh, Russell.
He still doesn't walk or talk. He was fed through a tube. He's the greatest little angel in the world. We chose the name Theodore because my wife said no matter how long he's with us, he's a gift. And actually means gift from God.
Oh.
And so, Moringa, you actually are one of the ones that actually helped us with this. Even though you may not remember this, because I had a conversation and we've been using Moringa ever since then. For him, 1 teaspoon a day. We do it twice because he's fed through a tube every 4 hours. And we, of course, we give him probiotics and soluble fiber and all of that kind of stuff for the probiotics to live. What you've done is you actually helped him save life. So I think your story is
Wow, Russell.
good, really, really good. And more people should know about what you are actually putting out, what you're doing, what you're accomplishing.
Thank you so much. It's really. Thank you.
I have to thank you. You're the one that gave us this great gift.
That's the most extreme health condition that I've heard of somebody benefiting so much. That's quite remarkable, and your dedication to your child is just remarkable. Thank you for sharing that. It's like that. It means the world to me, really, because we never know, and until somebody tells us what effects things have had. Conversations I've had with thousands of people over the years, and then I don't, some people contact me back, but I'm so grateful for you letting me know this and staying on with it. So, we wish you all the best with that. That's just, you are an angel. Thank you.
Spent here too, but you're the angel.
Well,
Thank you, Moringa. Thank you for what you've done.
thank you so much. Oh, well, that tops everything, right? Yeah. Great. Well, everyone, thank you so much for being here today. Russell, thank you for sharing that and just really creating the most beautiful experience for everyone today to see the absolute miracle. Now we know to what extreme Moringa goes to help people in their daily life. I mean, this is life for him. So everyone think about that. I mean, that Russell just like sharing that has really moved us all into such a strong heart space for you, for your family, and for the continued health of your child, for you. Just staying committed and connected. It's remarkable. You are truly a hero in this world, an angel. Great. Well, everyone, thank you so much for attending today. And stay connected, please, if you have any questions. Please come and join us. I'd love to train you, teach you how to, find your Moringa journey. Being here today lets me know that you have one, and it's just a matter of time when that journey will start. And when it does, I will be here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mariko.
Thank
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.